ChatGPT, ChatGPT, ChatGPT. I know. We're so sick of hearing about it, but here's the thing. If you're using it, and I'm using it, we're all using it, most of us are using it. If you are using it for a business and there's three things that you don't know about, those three things can cost you a lot of time, potential money, and maybe even heartbreak. So, if you want to know what those three things are, please stay tuned. What is Google doing with AI filters for written content? Google says AI generated content is against guidelines. Content generated automatically using AI writing tools is against Google's webmaster guidelines. The message here is that if Google detects automatically generated content, the web spam team could take action.
ChatGPT cannot get you the latest data. So I've seen all these people put videos out about what we can do to create businesses. Just have ChatGPT write a blog article of what are the best podcast microphones. But this is the thing, ChatGPT has not been updated since 2021. And I even asked ChatGPT, hey ChatGPT, when are you going to be updated again? When is your content going to be updated to 2023? This is when I'm recording this. And it could not answer me. It just said, I am an artificial intelligence tool. I don't know the answer to that question. So you need to be aware of that. Yes, you can write content and things that aren't related to, current events or don't need to be up to date necessarily, maybe something more historic, more generic. And I wasn't aware of this. Related to copyrights, the content that you create and then you put it on your blog or your sales page, your goal there is to attract people, to get them to your blog, to get them to your stuff so you can sell it. And that's great. And it's going to save you a ton of time if you use these tools to write. However, if there's a copyright issue that comes down the line and says, that content you created isn't yours and you've got a ton of it out there on your website and it's been pulling in traffic, that's not a good thing, right?
ChatGPT, show me your copyright statements. Do I own the content that I get from you? While my responses are intended for personal non-commercial use, it's possible that some individuals or companies may be using my responses for business purposes without obtaining the necessary permissions or licenses. It's important to note that any commercial use of my responses without permission may be a violation of copyright law. And then there's an answer that's saying basically that no. As for ownership of the content you receive from me, it's important to note that any text generated by me is intended for personal, non-commercial use only. You may not use my responses for any commercial purpose or reproduce, distribute, or modify them without obtaining permission from the copyright holder. Eek! I said, wait, why are so many people using your content for business if this is true? While my responses are intended for personal, non-commercial use, it's possible that some individuals or companies may be using my responses for business purposes without obtaining the necessary permissions or licenses. It's important to note that any commercial use of my responses without permission may be a violation of copyright law. There are also many legitimate uses of AI language models, like myself in business, such as automating customer service or generating product descriptions. In these cases, it's important for companies to ensure that they have the necessary permissions and licenses to use the technology for commercial purposes. It's always a good idea to consult with a legal professional if you have any questions about the appropriate use of AI language models in business context. Well, blow me over. Yikes. So how many people know about this? Not many. Not from all of the AI stuff I've seen about creating a new business. This is why I keep saying if you're creating anything with text, check out Content at Scale. They give you the copyright. You own it. It's your text. You own it. You can do whatever the heck you want with it. Crazy.
Using this tool in its most raw way for text is robotic content. Google doesn't want everybody to have the same content generated by one source, ChatGPT. There are filters out there that Google is probably already using at this point, which will detect whether or not the content that's been generated was using one of these AI tools. And so what can happen is if you are using the tool strictly and you're not touching it with human hands, human voice, it's generating something that maybe looks good to you or me, but there's a pattern and a rhythm in the way that it writes things. And it even says, if you go to ChatGPT, it will say your content that you're asking for that's created can be reused by somebody else. So you and someone else, you both are wanting the same article. The chance of those two things being created and very similar is quite high. And so to get away from that, the repetitive nature of the content, and also just the fact that it's not really written in a human way, I found Content at Scale. And I went into the whole detail about how I found it through Julia McCoy. Anyway, go listen to my last episode and the one before that. But
This is my question. What is Google doing with AI filters for written content? Okay, ooh, look at this, you guys. Let's move my head over here. Google says AI generated content is against guidelines. Content generated automatically using AI writing tools is against Google's webmaster guidelines, says Search Advocate. Mueller says content written by AI falls under the category of auto-generated content, which could lead to manual penalty. Here's what they're officially saying. For use with these would fall into the category of automatically generated content. The gist of this is that if they discover content that's written this way, it's considered spam. The message here is that if Google detects automatically generated content, the web spam team could take action. Written in 2022. Yeah, so they're pointing out the absurd, which is people who are checking for AI are using AI to check. And it's like, obviously, there are good uses of it. So I don't know. I think it's all going to get hammered out. But for now, definitely be smart in the way that you use them. All right, I'm going to take this chunk, go over to here, and all you have to do, and the AI detector is free, you can just cut and paste whatever it is, and then you just hit check for content. It says if highly likely to be AI, and this kind of shows you the reasons, and I like that I didn't do this the last time I used it, so it's getting better. It's showing you literally the sentences that are the biggest giveaways, I guess. It gives you this score of 26% human. So it's mostly not. So it is highly likely to be AI generated. So anyway, I like this tool. Definitely something to check out if you're worried about this. And I just wanted to show that to you because that's free. So Content at Scale, click on their AI detector.
and if you take the content from ChatGPT and paste it in there, usually those tools can see that it's at least 50% robotic. Google filters can suppress your content because this isn't good content. It's created by a bot. So we're going to put this other content that's better because it was human written, it's human thought, human language. We're going to elevate that thing way up here and we're going to suppress and put down this other content. So if you have a competitor, for example, who's got similar content, but they're writing it by hand, they're not using bots, or they're using a tool like a Content at Scale, which is much more human in terms of its output. I think it reads 100% human, which is phenomenal. So here's Content at Scale if you want to check it out. And that will give you more blog posts. And this is just a quick way to sign up if you want to go check it out. Again, long form content, no AI detection. There's an automatic built-in plagiarism scan. If you have a WordPress website, this connects seamlessly and does some extra things that those of us who don't have WordPress won't be able to take advantage of. It creates an automatic table of contents for that long form blog post or article you're writing, which is really cool. And there's just a whole bunch here, but who knows? Maybe you'll check it out because making this and reading that last bit to you is even more scary than what I read originally on the ChatGPT website. So seeing the words come back from ChatGPT is pretty mind-blowing. It really is. I just started using Content at Scale myself. It's quite intuitive. It's going to take me a little bit more time to really do a deeper tutorial. I think at this point I could even do high level. They have a really good video walkthrough. So for that first time when you just get started, I was really impressed how easy they made it. Yeah, go take a look if you want to watch the video, or go listen if you want to listen to the podcast. I would love to know what your thoughts are on Content at Scale, and I'll have all that in the show notes, but I would love to hear from you. Thanks for listening, and I will see you in the next episode where I will be covering ways to actually use these tools to create income for a side hustle or for our main business. And until then, If you are a single mompreneur and you want to take control of your life and to liberate yourself financially, I'm so happy to have you on this channel because that is my goal. Get your time back and make some cash.